Listen up, Formula E noobs, this one's for you. Ciao friends and welcome back to 2sex Ted. Today is the first race of the 2020-2021 Formula E season. No, I know that doesn't make any sense, but roll with me here. Also known as Season 7, due to it being the 7th season. I did actually ask one of Formula E's social media people why they are continuing to call it the 2020-2021 season, and the internal reasoning is that they did testing last year, so that counts. First round takes place today, the second round takes place tomorrow in Diriyah, which used to be the Ad Diriyah E-Prix, but for some reason is now just the Diriyah E-Prix in Saudi Arabia. Now, if you're coming from Formula 1, which for the sake of this video I will assume you are familiar with, unlike Formula 1, which has on-track action for 3 days, Formula E's format is generally only 1 day, although, of course, this being the first round of the season, there was a practice session yesterday. This is the first time that Formula E has been back on circuit since they held the last 6 rounds of last year's revised championship in Berlin. If you're interested in watching any of those races, or I believe any race that Formula E has ever done, they should all be available on Formula E's official YouTube page, which I will link down below. They've only had 6 seasons, so it's not that hard to catch up, especially because the races themselves are only 45 minutes plus 1 lap. Unlike Formula 1, the whole thing takes place in 1 day. Practice, qualifying, race. These events are known as E-Prix, and due to this format means that they can be held back to back, like, for example, today and tomorrow. If you're watching this in the future, I don't mean today and tomorrow, I mean February 26th and February 27th, 2021. Formula E is an all-electric spec chassis series, so all the cars fundamentally look the same. However, teams are free to develop their own powertrains. This is why it has a fair amount of manufacturer interest, although less after the end of this year. Formula E's qualifying format is also quite interesting, as they have a group qualifying shootout in sections. So the drivers are divided in reverse championship order, so the top performing quarter go out first, then the second performing, third and last. Due to the way the track evolves, however, the times should get faster throughout the session. Generally means that the drivers who are performing worse in the championship have an easier time in qualifying. This makes the races very interesting, and the qualifying, unlike something like Formula 1, where basically the same people always end up on top. The top 6 then also go to a Super Pole shootout to shoot out for Super Pole, which is just the pole. It's the regular pole, but it's super, I don't know. Don't ask me. If you are an F1, F2, F3 kind of fan, here are some of the names in Formula E that you might recognise. Driving for Audi, Season 3 champion Lucas di Grassi. Driving for Dragon Penske, Sergio Sette Camara. Driving for DS Techeetah, Antonio Felix da Costa, last year's champion, and Jean-Eric Vergne, who won the 2 seasons previous to that. Driving for Mercedes EQ, we have Stoffel van Dorn and Nick de Vries. Driving for Porsche, we have Pascal Wehrlein, and for Nissan, Sebastian Buemi. Now, that is not to say that the rest of the drivers are not very, very talented drivers in themselves. Other drivers include Andre Lotterer and René Rast, which, if you've heard of them, you will know their careers have been pretty goddamn impressive. But I just wanted to give an overview for anyone coming from the world of Formula 1. This year's calendar is currently planned to only be 8 rounds, which means that each round matters quite a lot in the championship. First 2 rounds to be held in Diriyah in Saudi Arabia, as previously mentioned. Then they head to Rome in Italy, followed by Valencia in Spain, and then Monaco, where they will be running on a modified version of the full circuit, not the weird shortened one you may have heard of them using before. Now, it's not exactly the same as the F1 one, and I think that's because Formula E don't want to invite speed comparisons. After Monaco, they head to Marrakesh in Morocco, followed by 2 closing rounds in Santiago in Chile. That means this whole calendar should be over by June. Formula E are currently running their Gen 2 car, which means unlike the Gen 1 car, they are not required to swap halfway through. The batteries do now make it to the end of the race, and in fact the cars are more powerful as well. To make up for this, Formula E implemented attack mode, where drivers have to go offline at some point on the circuit, twice in each race, and activate attack mode, which is an extra boost in power. Using this tactically is an important part of performing well in a Formula E race. Formula E still have not decided to dump fan boost, unfortunately, which is a system whereby fans vote for drivers in a popularity contest, and those drivers get a small boost in power that they are able to use in the actual real-life race, which is ridiculous. Usually the biggest defense of this is that it usually doesn't have much of an impact, however that just makes it pointless and therefore they should get rid of it anyway. I have to admit, I think Driver of the Day would be just as engaging for fans as it is in Formula 1, for example, as Fan Boost is in FE. Because it's just a popularity contest, some drivers end up always winning, like Stoffel Van Dorn, to the point where it has been dubbed Van Boost. But generally, Fan Boost doesn't get in the way of things, it's just a slight annoyance. Bit of a speed bump getting people into the sport, however, which I think it really is just sort of holding them back, to be honest, but what can you do? According to YouTube analytics, a third of my audience is in the UK, and so am I. So the way you can watch it is the practice sessions are on YouTube, qualifying and the race are on the BBC. They, I think, if it's anything like last season, will just be on the red button and somewhere buried deep in iPlayer. Good luck finding it, they really do like to hide it. For everyone else, I will link the ways to watch page from Formula E down in the description. What do you think of Formula E? Have you ever watched it before? Do you intend to start this year? Is there anything holding you back? Fan Boost, perhaps? Leave me a comment down below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in a couple of days.